Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is.
Hot and muggy.
Oh, you should give me your phone so I can share it on yours. Oh, maybe you did already.
I'll let you play with that stupid thing.
Nope, that was different.
Good morning, good morning.
How are you guys doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm doing not too bad. Thank you for asking, Randy. You haven't asked me since you've been inside.
I haven't. Well, you treated me like a dog as soon as I rang the doorbell. Telling me sit, stay. So I sat at the door and waited for
It
you.
was on the other side of the door, and apparently he's been hearing things.
Oh, you were talking to your dog, huh?
I was talking to my dog. But she did pretty good, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
She listened to you. Well, and apparently you listened to me too. I'm just doing a share while we're doing this before we get going and
Letting a few people come
get
on.
people. Yeah, exactly. All right, here we are. Share to page. And, oh, I don't need your phone because I can do it from here. All right, done on yours. You can have your phone back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Page. Oh, I keep on forgetting to write on there.
Was everybody enjoying our lovely, beautiful, cold weather here in the Coachella Valley? For those of you that live here in the Coachella Valley, whether it's more steamy and hot. I rode my bike every day this week, but Tuesday, doing intervals of Highway 74, and I literally thought, I'm done. I'm gonna die today. It was so humid. It was just like a faucet opened up on my head. It just kept on pouring out of me. I kept going.
You did keep going.
Because I'm like the Energizer Bunny. So it's humidity. Tuesday was the worst. Yesterday was better. This morning was better, but it still sucks it right out of you. You see the lightning show last night?
I was fast asleep. I was out of it.
Oh man, we came out of church last night. We looked to the south, and a lightning bolt must have been 100 miles long. It was going horizontal. I never seen anything like that. Big bolt of lightning. Pretty cool. Let's just wait for the thunder, which never came. Thunder and lightning, you know?
I love the thunder and lightning.
Yep. You know why I like it?
What?
Because Kathy jumps out of bed and falls on top of me, scares me to death.
Well, you know,
protect me.
I guess, you know, if there's any way of getting her close to you, then that would be one of the ways. If I was you, I would be doing the rain dance the thunder dance every day.
Well, I got it. Yeah, I do that too. But, yeah.
So I guess it's like we're going into it. I just wanted to say to everybody, welcome.
Welcome.
Happy Thursday, the 12th of July. And this is Deepika and
Randy.
And we are Love Your Life Story. We are here today following from our weekly live feeds to share with you a little bit about coping mechanisms. So as you have been joining us and following us over time, one of the things that we're sharing with you and going through a process are, how would you say it, Randy? Going through how to have a better relationship with self and how to have a better relationship with others. But to get there, you know, we have to first identify what's in our way, or, you know, what stops us from doing what we really want to do or speak. And what else would you say?
Well, to me, it's exactly that, because a lot of us were brought up a certain way and we don't even realize half the things that we're doing are more maladaptive than they are constructive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They do more harm than they do good. They push people away rather than draw people closer to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no fault of anybody's, but it's because it's at a subconscious level. And you know, you and I talk about the beginning, all the way back to ancestral and our childhood. And that's where all it starts. We're given these. Hey, Robin, we're given these. Well, I believe that we're given innate survival skills.
So before we go into that, so we're talking about survival, so I'm going to come back onto it. So if you just joined us and you're joining us from either Randy's page or my page, please go to Love Your Life Story, like us, and join us from that page, because we do not share from, we won't, at some point we will stop sharing from our own individual pages. But right now, as we're building the following, we are sharing it, but we would like you to give us a big thumbs up. And of course, if you like the content, share on your page, share the love, share the information, share the wisdom, the knowledge, and we thank you in advance.
Yes.
Sorry, as you were saying.
What was I saying?
What you were talking about. Hi, Robin. Go, Randy, go.
Yeah, go, Randy. Yeah, she got it. She got it down.
So
yeah, we were just talking about how these maladaptive or constructive coping mechanisms come about in our life. And a lot of them are just, they've worked for us for many, many years until they quit working. Until somebody has the, I guess, the courage to sit down with somebody and say, hey, look, you might want to think about the way you're talking to people, the way you're acting, some of your behavior. It's not conducive to you. It's not conducive to your business. It's not conducive to the people around you.
Your family, children.
But it's only if people are open-minded and willing and ready to change. A lot of people say, you know what, it's who I am. Screw you. I hope you don't like it. Look where I'm at in life. Well, and so, okay, well, that's how you feel, then good luck.
So you've got those individuals who are still fighting against themselves, I guess, and then there's those individuals who don't know the way, and I guess who are tired of being tired.
That's what I mean. Sick and tired of being tired. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you've tried everything else, and it's just like, what am I doing? I can't live this way anymore. I'm tired. So it's at that point where people hopefully will seek out help, and that help hopefully will be loving, compassionate people like you and I that will be able to gently walk them through their life and show them maybe where some of these coping skills came from and how they developed them, and that it's okay that it happened, but we need to move you through and teach you something brand new.
Right. And I think if you're at that point, I think, would I say that I guess I had a little bit of both, my experience, that tired of being tired or tired of just, manipulating and denying and all of that stuff, I was sick and tired of just selling all those lies, that I kept in, these little lies ended up just building up to a point where I was like, it was unmanageable. And that's what made me make the change. I'm like, okay, it's not going to happen out there. If I'm trying to look for a result out there, it's not going to happen. And I noticed that my coping mechanisms were just hurting me. Everything that I was doing, it was hurting everything that I was being and doing, and it wasn't conducive to how I was wanting or committed to life. What I was wanting and what I was doing were two different things.
Right. Because like I say, they work until they quit working. And when they quit working, it's like they quit working.
They quit working.
And you get to that point where it's just, I can't do that. I got to change my life. What I got to do to change my life? For somebody like me with that long history of abuse and the alcoholism and addiction for 38 years. I mean, there was a lot of pain that I carried for a lot of years, and just the last year or two got really, really bad. And so I had to do something where I was going to lose everything, and I wasn't willing to do that. So that's when I reached out for help. And
so I guess it's like that wanting, I guess, was it for others that initially came to you for making that change, or was it just for yourself? Was it,
No,
what was the
it's a good
initial
question.
thing?
It's a good
'Cause-
question.
Yeah.
Nobody came to me. I never had to have a court card. My wife never threatened me. Nobody never. It was just one day. I mean, it's in my book that I had a divine intervention. Is what I had. And it's just like, you get out of jail free cards are used up, Randy. And I knew exactly what that voice was saying and where it was coming from. I says, okay, I'm tired. I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this no more. I'm tired of fighting. And that's when I made the decision that, okay, I need to get help. There's a lot of people, and I always say, I don't care how you get to seek the help. If it's the wife's going to leave you or court card, whatever it is, whatever it takes to get you to start seeking the help is all that matters. But then once you get, and a lot of people that come, they'll seek help and they're full of resentments. I'm not doing this because my wife told me to, or because the judge says I got to go to anger management. Good.
Yeah.
And if some of them maintain that attitude, some of them shift.
Yeah. Like, I think it's at that point of, I think they're trying to fight. It's almost like you're trying to fight yourself and proving something that doesn't work.
It could be. Well, especially for men.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take men, and I know women are battling with a lot of the same stuff.
Sure.
But for the men, it's like, I got a problem. Go away. I'm gonna look weak. Yeah, I'm a big contractor in the valley. Everybody knows who I am. I can't let them know I got a problem drugs and alcohol. I can't let them know about all these issues I got. So men are gonna push back. I'll figure it out myself because we're told, figure it out.
And we're told to be a man. So even the concept of being a man, what does being a man look like to you?
Okay, be a woman.
What does being a woman look like? Like in my world, being a woman was being subservient. Sit proper. Smile when they expect you to smile. That's not what a woman is.
Men are supposed to
cook, clean.
And I cook and clean. Does that mean I'm a woman? I do laundry.
Good.
I do everything around
That's
the
great.
house.
See,
for 40 years, I worked really hard in construction. Now, 10 years I've been working on this, and so my wife, by the grace of God, thank for her, she supports us. But does that mean I'm not a man? No. No. If I cry, does that mean I'm not a man? According to the societal rules for men, if I cry, I'm not a man.
Is that an established book?
It's what's in my book. It's actually, and Dan Griffin's got a whole bunch of stuff about that he talks about the societal rules for men. Don't cry. Don't show your weakness. Don't show your emotions. Don't show your feelings. Suck it up and want something to cry about. Or give you something to cry about. Don't ask for help because it shows that you're weak. I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I guess women say, I think it's the same conversation, just on the other level, I guess, it's the same thing. You're a woman, you got to deal with it. You know how to deal with it. Like if you're, you have children, you should know how to deal with children. If you don't cook properly, your mother's not taught you how to cook. That's the way they do. I get that all the time.
You know how many women I know that don't cook? And it's like, to me, it's a little culture shock, but it's also, so what?
Yeah.
So what? They don't know how to cook.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Does that mean they're any less of a woman? No. Does it mean that I'm any less of a man? Some people will probably say yes to both of those.
Oh, I'm sure. If I go to my mom or my dad, probably, yeah.
No. But that's what keeps us from getting help. That's what keeps us from getting help, is those rules of society. So they'll tell you, I can't admit I have a problem. I can't admit I was sexually abused.
Yeah, I can't admit that that I'm not perfect.
Right.
Because that's because I have a problem, right?
So then I'm
imperfect.
And I was always told I was going to be worthless as a child. I'm going to be an idiot. I'll never amount to anything. So if I show you my weakness, then I've just proved
that I have imperfections.
But what's the reality about life? Is anybody perfect?
Hi, Karen.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
Right? You can't be perfect. We're going to trip and fall, make mistakes.
Yeah.
So along the way, because most of us, and a lot of people that that I deal with and that you deal with, they didn't have parents that when they trip, the kids trip, I trip, they reach down and
Grab hold
come
of
on,
them, come on,
what's going on?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
I saw how hard you studied for that test. I watched you every night. You come to me, you ask questions, and you got a D on it. Okay, let's figure out what happened.
Right.
No, we got the crap kicked out of us. You stupid idiot! I told you nothing. You were out jerking around when you're supposed to be studying, weren't you?
Right, but and I think it's that whole nature nurture debate, that we talked about. Because in this case, you're saying in both scenarios how the parent has spoken to them, and then there's scenarios that how parents aren't available to even speak to them.
Right.
Either way.
Right. Exactly. No,
right?
exactly.
And then that becomes complex too.
Right. That's really complex.
But I just want to acknowledge, declare gender neutrality. I can't say it to me. I can't say it.
What do you want? What is that? Gender neutrality?
Thank you. And skill sets. Yeah, I think that there is a part of that. Where I think we're living in a society nowadays that. But I think we need to stop also how that's from that dialogue of going, it's not enough. I think when recognizing when someone is doing something, because when progression happens, it happens slowly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not something like, okay, I know people who have come to me and we've gone back and forth, and the spouse or the child, or they're trying to work something out, and what's happening is they're looking at the negative before they look at the positive. And one of the things I always say, okay, every morning and every night, I want you to just look at positives and give each other that back or that feedback so that they can grow from that rather than being in these coping mechanisms of behaviors and patterns.
Because I don't know about you, but I know when I screw up.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty good at that.
I know when I screw up, so I don't need anybody to remind me, boy, you screwed up. Okay, you made a big mistake. How about, hey, what are we going to do as adults? Now as adults, so we can, well, I guess I should have thought about that a little more. How can we work through this together now? Okay, but again, it's that. Are we willing to learn, open-minded and willing to learn different ways and different beliefs?
Right.
So. DBT, that works really good too. It's a form of treatment.
Treatment, yeah, therapy.
It's a form of therapy. It's really good. Yeah. I can't remember what it is, but they use it at Michael's house a lot, and it gets you thinking on the positive side.
Positive side, yeah.
So,
I mean, just like any therapist, Karen, thank you for your question. What do you think of DBT? I think just like any therapy, I think that everything has its place in helping one, overcome something. Like, for example, you did one of the most recent therapies that you did that made a huge difference for you.
TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation.
And that really shifted. You had one session and it.
Well, no, it was 30. It's 30 days. One half an hour a day for 30 days, and if you're suffering with anxiety, depression, PTSD, there's a lot of that. You're finding out more and more that it will. It's not electric, so it's magnetic, so it rewires the neurotransmitters in a healthy way, and it made a huge difference for me. Where I got all my meds except for one. So, and I don't mind telling
was that what was the most recent one that you had? There wasn't that one. You had something else more recently. No. Sorry.
No,
that was the most recent one.
Yeah. That was 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking of something else.
It might be. What if you do? Let me know.
Okay.
I'm curious because dialectical behavioral therapy. They use it a lot at Michael's house. It really, if I remember right, Karen, I don't know a lot about it, but if I remember right, it reinforces positive thoughts in your mind. there was a lot of music they listened to, some positive movies and stuff like that, if I remember right.
Well, she was just saying now she's benefited from it. Magnetic therapy. Well, we're going to go into a little bit of therapy because we're going to talk a little bit more about because these are constructive ways of coping with mechanisms.
It's transcranial magnetic stimulation. Transcranial TMS is what it's called. If you're on meds, there's a center here, Dr. Sheath in Rancho Mirage performs it. You go and see him, and he does an evaluation on you.
Where's he based?
He's in Rancho Mirage. It's called Achieve TMS. It's called Achieve TMS in Rancho Mirage. It really changed. It brought. Well, my wife will tell you she got all of Randy back.
What's the doctor's name?
Dr. Sheath. I think it's SHIETH. So it's Achieve TMS in Rancho Mirage is a facility. We're gonna she's right it all on there right now. Achieve TMS.
And then.
Hey Richard, what's up?
Robin, you were saying about tapping. Yeah, it's definitely another constructive way of doing it. Like I said, there's many therapies out there that can help in different behaviors, different patterns that we all have. And I think that's where you have to go. I mean, me listing out all these different therapies wouldn't be any good too, because you got to find out what's really going on, right?
Yeah, there's no. Like I always say, there's no one therapy that's going to work for everybody. It's everybody's diagnosed. Everybody's got to be diagnosed differently. And then even though you might have the same diagnosis, DBT might not work for me as it did for you. It might take salt therapy. I mean, so there is. Thanks a lot, Richard.
What about me, Richard?
Here we go. So there's all sorts of therapies out there, and sometimes for some people it takes, like for me, it was just body therapy. It was gestalt therapy. It was cognitive behavioral therapy.
I know that works.
It was a whole bunch of different stuff. So you got to find, when it comes to therapy part, you got to find what works for you. And sometimes, life coaching that Topeka and I do, we do a lot of all that, but we don't call it anything. It's just what we've learned over the years through our own therapy and through the practices that we do. We use a lot of positive reinforcement, a lot of questions, hardly any accusations and stuff like that. So, what about me, Robin? What about me, Robin? I thought Richard did it.
Approval.
Yeah, seeking approval. So let's talk about some coping mechanisms for a little bit. I just want to say that in my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within, which is now called, there's a whole chapter on coping mechanisms, and we reviewed some of it, and there's a lot in there. I forgot how much I put in there. So
a lot of great information. So if you want to purchase it, or if you have a Kindle, get on to Amazon.com, Healing the Wounded Child Within, and get your book. Order your book.
We'll put the link up there. Can we put the link up there? We can do. And here's what I would ask you to do as a favor to us. If you would download, go to that link, click on it, download the Kindle. If you got Kindle Prime, download Kindle Prime. I don't care about the 99 cents. It doesn't mean nothing to me. But what I would like is reviews from everybody. I'm working with a PR firm. We're trying to push it to #1 bestseller. You'll see there's a lot of reviews on it already. So if you could do that for me, I'd greatly appreciate it.
I'm just about to put the link on there. In a second. You can continue talking now.
So with the coping mechanisms, like we were talking a little bit earlier, there's a lot, as we grow up in life, we just develop these coping mechanisms, a lot of them. Some, for people like me, for a lot of people, a lot of them are maladaptive, and the fact that when we're out in the world working, they work, but they don't behoove us in any way. They kind of give us a bad name. And some of those maladaptive, we develop over a course of over the years because we don't know anything else to do. Who are we hanging with? Who are the people that we're associating with? And that's where we're going to learn a lot of these skills. A lot, some of them real simple ones are like, if you're abusing alcohol or drugs, those are maladaptive
Substances.
substances.
Right?
Those are substances.
Oh yeah, and that's just the same thing as food.
And food, okay? So you got drugs, you got alcohol, and even sex, because I got that right in the center of my list. It could go either way. But a lot of us use it as a maladaptive coping skill to make us feel better for the moment, like addiction to pornography. It gives us that moment of we're disconnected from a human being, but we can please ourselves at the same time with no connection to the human being. But afterwards, we have the remorse and the guilt as much as we do when we do drugs and alcohol. The shame and everything. Yeah. And I've talked to I've done work with a lot of guys and all this. But I think one of the biggest maladaptive coping skills that we all have is we all have this one of approval seeking.
Who, me?
We all want approval from everybody. It doesn't matter who they are. It can be in business. We just need their approval. We need their acceptance.
It can be in any. I mean, because it's not even high. I mean, we do it with our children. I mean, like I know. I think in past relationships, I remember dating a gentleman who was older than I, and he had issue with children. So his behavior, that seeking approval, he seeks it from his children. So so it was kind of like who do things that just to get the children to like him.
And there's in my book also. Now you said that there's a piece from John Lee in there about incest, over incest with a child, because maybe the wife isn't getting what she needs from her husband, so she takes the son and that she seeks it from the son.
That relationship with the son,
right,
yeah.
Which is very unhealthy. It can be vice versa, man, with the daughters. It's very, very unhealthy.
Right, and I think if you look at it on a cultural basis, I mean, look at all Eastern cultures that live with that understanding that a son should take over the family,
right?
Responsibilities and and I can definitely say my family, my brother definitely held that father role,
right?
In more ways than I beg to like or care for, but I think it's that doing it unknowingly, because it's something that that confusion of I think roles and responsibilities.
The reason I'm looking like I am is because I remember a conversation I had, and I can't remember with who, but it was an Oriental woman, and because she was the woman, the men get all the attention at a certain age, and especially they marry out of their community, out of their culture, then they're definitely discarded. But even the women are looked at only as servants. So the brothers got they could do no wrong. I remember I wish I could remember who it was. I wouldn't say her name anyways, but I was just stunned when I heard that. It's like, so people are seeking the approval all their lives based on situations like that.
So it can be as minor, it could be as big as a job, a relationship partner, but also recognizing we do that, that it's not a hierarchy of age or anything like that. We do that in the hierarchy of sexes. We do that. We do it in the hierarchy of age, but then we also do it. There's no set. It's not like you do it just with an elder. You can do it with younger people.
Right.
It's not like you just do it with a male. You can do it with the same gender.
Right, you can do the same gender.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
But how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, really recognizing, I think for myself and, the work that I've been doing has definitely enabled me to see that connection, where I've been doing it in multiple places. It might not look the same way, but the behavior comes out. Right. Which is definitely, for me, seeking approval.
Just think of it this way too. I'm just thinking again of my life, what I got a lot to go off of talking to other men too, is that to be successful in business, I sought the approval of a lot of people, and those people weren't exactly the best people in the world to seek approval from, because they lived lives that were not anywhere near what I knew I needed to live, and they led me down a dark path. Yeah, I became successful. but by seeking their approval, I lost a lot of friends. So
people who really did care for you.
People who really did care for me.
So basically, you let go of them. Why did you let go? Those people who really cared for you, why did you let go of them? Right, because here's the other group of people who I think subconsciously you did what you did. I don't think you did it knowingly. You might, or did you do it knowingly?
It's because what I was trying to gain, and these people no longer had. Now remember, this is before I got a recovery. This is when I was out there just
no judgment passed, right?
Yeah, no judgment, and it's just because you look at all my life. I just needed approval. I needed to prove my stepfather and my mother wrong. I mean, Dr. Alan Berger says this: we're always trying to obtain the unobtainable approval of our parents, even when they're dead. Yeah, we're always trying to obtain that approval. I can imagine. Okay, and so that's what I was trying to do, and if it meant that. Sorry, Topeka, it's been nice knowing you, but I got time for you no more because I got these guys over here taking me down on the road that promised me success. It's been great. See you later. Goodbye. And I would do it without a conscience. It's just too bad. I hope you don't like it. That's pretty sick when I hear myself say it right now. But it's all I knew. I would never do that today. Yeah,
it is. And I'm glad that you're saying that because even in the language that you use, and I'm just going to bring it because I think people do it because it is, but then that's a self-judgment, right?
Right.
And then there's also that, when people think of it, because like I know that when I've thought of certain things I've done in my past and I'm going, that's so bad. Like the self-judgment that I have, about myself is quite intense. It's an intense feeling.
Right.
Can we just ask them, leave them with one question first are we discussing this, Yeah,
because we're talking about this, right?
So, I think one of the things that, and hey, if anybody has any questions, please ask. Thank you, Karen and Robin, for asking the questions that you have so far. But I guess the things that if you're, working through stuff and you're not sure, what's happening in your life and why it's happening, I think, to make some lists would be really, really good. And one of the questions that we ask is, what are your maladaptive behaviors and your constructive behaviors at this current time with what you're doing in life, what's happening in your life, whether you like something, ultimately it's what you don't like, what's happening in your life that you want to change and you want to shift. And when you recognize what your contribution to those behaviors or the outcome is, we can then start looking at something constructive and how we do something. But we're all doing it. We're all doing constructive and maladaptive constantly. But what we want to shift is the maladaptive to something constructive.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Do I want to do what?
Shift your maladaptive behaviors to something constructive.
I like the way I am. Hope you don't like it.
Yeah. Hope you don't like it?
I hope you don't like it.
Oh, you want me not to like it?
I hope you don't like it. It's just the way I am. That's what I used to say. No, but let's seeking approval. Let's go back. We got three. Let's just do. There's three things. I'm in my book right here. 3 bullet points that are actually really powerful. But we'll just do them. Do you want to do 1 or 3 or just do the one?
Shall we do it and then you want to do them? Okay. So 1 out of 3. Reflecting on your own life. Notice when you have said yes when you meant no in order to earn approval of someone else.
So remember last week we talked about lies? So that right there is one of the biggest lies you can tell yourself, the person you're talking to, your children, and everything. Why are you saying yes when you mean no? It's okay to say no. It doesn't mean you're any less of a person. It doesn't mean you're going to lose out on anything. I know it feels like, man, if I say no, I'm going to miss this opportunity and blah, 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 blah. But, I got to say, so if I say yes, and my husband's going to be pissed off, and my kids are going to be pissed off at me, or my wife's going to be pissed off at me, but this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go out of state and take care of this big thing I got to take care of, and blah, 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 blah. How about if we just say, whoa, chill. You know what? I'm going to have to think on that. I got to go home and talk to my spouse, my partner. But Randy, it's a business deal, and I don't have time. Look, are you going to be true to yourself and your family? Or are you going to be true to somebody that's trying to move you up a ladder and take you away from your family? I understand that. I will tell you this, I was extremely successful in the construction business, and my family came first. Nothing came before my family. And my business was very successful. People looked at me oftentimes and says, "You're going away with your family again? What about your business?" I go, "What about it? That's why I have employees." But you don't understand, Brandy, my employees are worthless. Then find new ones. And why are they worthless? How are you bringing them up? How are you training them?
How are you valuing?
Yeah.
I mean, like how you're valuing yourself, you're valuing
Right.
others.
Right.
And then you're surprised that you've been treated the way you are.
So when we feel that other people are treating us, mistreating us, we need to go look in the mirror and figure out why. Because usually when we're pointing one finger at one person, there's three more coming right back at us. And it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of CEO you are. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. You're no better than the bottom link in your chain of your business. That's just the way it is. I was at a construction. I had 80 employees. I had an open door policy. My guys knew that at any time they could walk in and talk to me. They love to work for me. I gave them the latitude of a lot of different situations. So because of that, because I treated my employees with respect, because I had plenty of employers that I worked for that treated me like garbage and took big advantage of me. I learned from them that I'm not going to do this to my employees. And because of the way I treated my employees, I was able to make sure my family was number one. When I would go away on vacation, I would call the office. They said, "What are you calling for?" And they'd hang up on me. In 2007, when I was in the coma, I was out for almost 3 months. My business did better when I wasn't there.
Right.
But again,
you built that.
I built the business. I built my employees up.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're
it's
supporting and play that supporting and leading role,
Right.
rather than controlling and manipulating.
Exactly. And my number one guy, my right hand man, goes, "Why don't you yell at these guys when they mess up, Randy?" I go, Why should I yell at them? They made the mistake. It's already done. All yelling is going to do is make them feel like crap and make them hate me.
Well, I'm just going to read this a little bit out here. I know you put it in the context of sexual abuse, but just taking that out. But even survivors of trauma, I don't want to say it's about typically have a very low self-esteem, which can create a powerful addiction to the approval of others. Since we can feel incapable of loving ourselves, we need others to do it for us. So again, these maladaptive behaviors. That's what they is that consistent and persistent need for people to let us know that you're worthy, and if they say that they're not worthy, I mean ultimately deep down the subconscious state of mind is you feel unworthy, or
And I'm just thinking now, that going back to a little bit of your conversation about, why don't men? So a lot of men in this, like my number one guy, stand up, be tough, get in their face. I built this business, God dang it, nobody's gonna take it away from me. I'm the strong one here. Okay, I'm the strong one. If I don't stand ground with you, if I don't get in your face, I don't tell you what you're doing wrong, then I'm not. For me, it was just the opposite. I can tell you, I got a lot of employees that I still see, and they say, "I wish you were still in business." And one guy works for Golden Boys, and he told his bosses, he goes, "This is the best boss I've ever had in my life. If he was still in business, I'd be working for him."
Wow.
Okay, so I'm not perfect. Believe me, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but because I built the trust.
But you built trust. You didn't degrade others.
No.
In your dysfunction. So that was something that was functional.
Right.
In your dysfunction at that time in your life.
Exactly.
Which is, I think we all have that back and forth of where that might come, but that was something that you
And then
You prided yourself in.
exactly. And then the other thing I would do also
Mm-hmm.
is I would never put the guys on the spot about maybe working Saturdays or over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that because it was done to me. Like on a Friday, my boss would go, "We're working Saturday. You don't get your paycheck until tomorrow. You show up to work."
Mm-hmm.
That's illegal. Number one. Number two, I want my guys again. Yeah, I had 80 guys, so I can go to a lot of guys and say, "Hey, I need some guys to work Saturday," and I always had people show up.
Mm-hmm.
I never had to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
I never had to go to me. You are working. I just say, "Hey, can you work Saturday?"
Well, it's that thing. I mean, like, you know, we're just looking at, you know, that would be passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
That would be projection. You know, I guess in identifying characteristics, being intellectualized. You know, like intellectualization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you'd be like, "Oh, I know more than you. I know, you
Right.
know, so you should behave. You should listen to me." And
Well, what it came down to, Topeka, was just like, remember the kid that fell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my employees, they made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is I would drive to the job site. I would grab my foreman. We'd take a walk. And it's always a positive, a negative. It's not even a negative, but a positive, negative, and a positive. How you doing today? What's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, I understand we're having an issue out here with this, blah, 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 blah. Can you tell me what's happening? And they would tell me, and I says, okay, what are we going to do to resolve it? And next time, if you have a question, I really appreciate the fact that you're served and you're trying to make things happen. But if you're unsure, I'm a phone call away. Just ask. And then I would end on a positive. You're doing a great job out here. Keep it up. Everything's perfect.
well, that's communication.
That's
right? So
communication.
But I think, I mean, but you was doing it there. But when it came to your personal life and your home life, so there was something.
This was when I got in recovery. So,
Okay, so you was on that borderline, right? You was going through this. So before the recovery, before the, you know, going through your steps and working, you know, your program.
I still treat my employees with respect.
Yeah,
I never
and I think
really
you had that,
disrespected.
and I think you had that because of just who you were, and as an employer and
Right.
generating your business. But I think, you know, come back to again. So here we are. You know, we're having this life that we lead. And we have, you know, the function, and then we have the dysfunction. And in this case, you know, he was functional in his workplace, and, you know, this conversation is, you know, great, and it was a feel-good factor for you, but it also carried you into doing the things that you didn't want to do. It carried you into the things of saying where you wanted to really say no, but you ended up saying yes, you know, and recognizing that.
Right. Which I don't do.
Which you don't do anymore. And then, you know, and then I guess, you know, the other thing is, I guess even for your work and my work, I know when I've done my work, even in that recognition of where I've done that and where I've not done that, and recognizing where my mind sometimes still comes up and thinks that way, but not going ahead and doing it. So it's not a case that it's gone away for you.
No.
The back thought. So anyone who's going to go through the journey of, you know, self-discovery and personal development, would be a case of recognizing that, hey, this thought still comes up, or this feeling still comes up, but hey, instead of me going to my maladaptive behaviors, instead of me reaching out for a drink, or, you know, reaching out of just or closing off, just not being available to anybody, I am going to, you know, do X, Y, and Z, depending wherever the scenario be, right?
Well, I think what we talk about a lot too is because you're absolutely right. We have to make a choice every morning when we get out of bed. Am I going to do A or am I going to do B? Because if I do B, I'm dead. I'm gone. So we have to make that choice to do A. And so that's where we have our people reach out with a phone. Okay. So I talked with the kids yesterday. I said, hey, look, when that anxiety sets in on you, I go, it doesn't sound to me like you've got a diagnosable anxiety. It sounds like a situational. Just stop and ask yourself, where's this coming from? Why am I feeling anxious right now? And is it true? Okay. And sometimes that's all we have to do. I mean, there's definitely the diagnosable this anxiety disorders, which we have to take care of medically. But I think a lot of them are just because of maladaptive behaviors.
Well, I think it's grown too, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that's happened. If you're an anxious individual, and then over years you've got a baggage of stuff that you just carried with you. So not only are you that way as an individual, but then you're also that way because of your situation or your experiences. Of course, that's going to be at some point. It's going to be a break point.
There's going to be a break point.
Yeah. So I think, recognizing that there are tools out there, but the biggest thing and the most important thing is to talk about them.
Right.
I think just, if you're feeling a certain way and it doesn't feel right and you don't feel good about yourself and you don't feel good about being around or waking up and going on about your daily life, and just, being at peace, everything might not be perfect, but at least having a sense of worth and peace and wholeness is important. Everything else comes, right? But I think a lot of people I know, if they're feeling that despair, nothing.
And I think one of the reasons, like you say that, is because they feel they're all alone.
Yeah.
They feel, well, I'm the only person going through this.
Right.
And the reality is, you and I know, and some of the people listen know, that's not true. There's a lot of people that go through it. There's a lot of people like Topeka and I that have gone through it, have worked through it, and that's why we do what we do, so we can help you work through your issues as well. Because we're not alone.
No.
I remember when I got to AA the first couple of times in the meetings I went to there, they said, Randy, you'll never ever have to be alone again. I go, what are you talking about, man? Mm-hmm. And I got it. I'll never be alone in life again, because there's always somebody that I can walk the journey with. Mm-hmm. And I might not be the same person. I haven't walked with the same people for my 12-year journry.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be, because, person A, I'm going to outgrow. And that's okay, mm-hmm. right? So, it's important for the people to know that whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And there's people like Topeka and I that will sit down with you, and we'll listen to you and we'll help you work through it. That's what we do.
So we just asked the question earlier to make you guys to make a list, of what are your maladaptive behaviors or patterns, and then what are your constructive behaviors and patterns in this current time. And so in recognizing and sharing what we've been sharing, in recognizing your maladaptive responses, I don't know, that's easy for me to say.
Say it 10 times.
10 times maladaptive. Anyway, what constructive way can you change that behavior pattern? So if you have, in recognizing your maladaptive patterns and behaviors, what constructive way can you shift, change that behavior pattern would be another question. And only you can explore that. I can't say to you, go and do such a thing. Only you can, and there's a lot of stuff out there, but if there's something real serious, then speak to a professional. If it's something that you can work through, then speak to a professional. So go to a coach, go to somebody who will dedicate that time and that space for you and have the tools to point you in the right direction. And then one of the things that we did talk about, and we have 10 minutes for our live feed, but one of the things that we talked about is when we're having these behaviors, ultimately anything maladaptive is something that's a behavior, which is something from a response from something that we've taken personally. So the question that we've always asked is, what are you taking personally? When you're doing something, and you gave me a great example. Do you remember the example you gave me?
Probably a couple of them. Was it the plans?
The plans. No.
Getting a job,
Job, yeah.
So, for instance, I did a lot of work, and early before I got recovery, and I got a lot of jobs, but then I wouldn't get jobs from some of the same contractors I was doing a ton of work for. And if I didn't get a job, if I didn't win the bid, then first thing I would do is I would try to manipulate them into taking me and using me. I mean, I had some manipulation skills, and I used every one of them, which didn't work for crap. I mean, it made me look worse than anything else. So when I couldn't win that battle, then what I would do is I would start tearing myself apart. What did you miss? I had to go back through all the plans. Well, hey, you had to miss something. Why didn't you get the job? Where did you miss it? Or even when I got a job, mm-hmm. Okay, why did I get the job? Mm-hmm. Where did I miss? How come they're using me?
Or do they want to use being used?
Yeah,
or somebody wants to take advantage of what you have to offer.
Right. I was low bid, or where did I miss in the bid? So, I would always beat myself up. Mm-hmm. Because I thought I missed something.
So either way, whether he got something or whether he didn't get something, he took something personally.
Yep.
Right. So, but in response to taking something personally, there's you find yourself defending something, that you're doing or you're not doing. So the minute that the response is out here, just imagine subconsciously what the response is internally. Because that's a big part in your growth. That's a big part in how you can shift and understand your coping mechanism, because it will show up right there. And if you become present to, rather than projecting yourself onto something or a situation.
Yeah, because we work with a lot of people, and this is the hardest thing for them to get in. And the question is, how can I not take it personal? But don't take things personally. And most of us do it because we're wounded, right? So there he goes again. He's giving me his opinion. Therefore, my opinion ain't worth a crap. Okay, and so now I got to defend my opinion because he's attacking me, or so I think he's attacking me, or she's attacking me, whatever. So it's this back and forth where all the person's doing is giving an opinion or saying, hey, why don't you look at it this way? And we take it like, I'm not good enough.
So the subconscious thought.
It's a subconscious, and like you say,
the negative self-talk.
Right. And
I still have.
Well, yeah.
Every once in a while, I definitely.
Then we walk away from the conversation. We didn't make no headway, and then what do? We beat ourselves up.
Yeah,
right.
And then we regurgitate this conversation that should have actually happened. So basically, again, you said yes to something that you said that you really want to say no to, or you said no to something that you really want to say yes to. Right, so you're not really being truthful and authentic and honest.
Well, so think about what you just said too. I know I shouldn't engage in this. So no. Yes, I'm gonna engage in it. So you're saying yes to your no. All right. Where if you just don't engage, say, well, hey, I appreciate you. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
That's a beautiful word. If you can use that today in any part of your day, thank you for sharing. Even those, the times when you don't like listening to something that somebody says or we have a lot of opinions out there, especially nowadays, right? Everybody has opinions. There's nothing wrong with that. But thank you for sharing. So coming back to being aware of how you respond to others, because that response to others is typically on a subconscious level a response to self. And then being aware of your negative self-talk. So when we recognize that negative self-talk, we get to really see our self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence issues, I guess, that would be the word, or understanding of what we really do think of ourselves, and really seeing that for a whole different thing. And being able to, when we recognize that, and then coming back to it, because I know we only have another 5 minutes.
I want to talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to end with positive.
Exactly. And so do I.
Do you?
Yeah.
I know.
Let's do it.
That's how we planned it. Chop, chop. So because we only got 5 minutes, what about constructive coping mechanisms? What do we use for our coping mechanisms in a constructive manner? I'm going to run down a list real quick, and I'll give you a couple examples that I used growing up in a very traumatic household. But for instance, meditate. Okay, you can meditate.
And there's so many different ways of meditation.
There's a lot of
find your way, find your place, connect, talk to people. There are a lot of ways. Meditation doesn't mean sitting there and going, no, it does not mean that.
No. You go for a walk and meditate. Just there's a lot of different ways. And pray. If you pray, you sit and pray. Okay, that always works. Affirmations. If you like to play an instrument, I play the Spanish guitar, and some of the songs, not songs, but some of the work I had to do, my mind just went blank. Anyways, it was very mesmerizing, and the melody. And when you play, like for instance with the classical guitar, when you play the classical guitar, you have to be present, because whatever you carry into the room and whatever you carry down when you sit the guitar is going to come out of the guitar. So playing or flute, any kind of instrument can be very, very constructive. Drawing, yeah. I cycle. Bicycling, I cycle a lot. As you all know, I cycled across the U.S. last summer. I'm cycling from Seattle to San Diego. And hiking, walks on the beach, all those last three, they get all those feel good endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, and the oxytocin. It gets all that flowing in your system. It gets you feeling good
The
about
chemical.
yourself. Yeah,
The
really,
chemical imbalance. Because typically, if you think about, and I'm just briefly going to touch it, because if you think about on a chemical level, that's releasing that what you would normally do in your maladaptive behaviors, because it's giving you toxins via the chemical composition, right? So the body's changing chemically by the toxins, makes you temporarily feel good, but it lowers everything else with it, you know.
Well, they say 1 minute of stress takes 8 hours to recover.
Right. So you just think, look on the other side. So when you're doing this,
it's
what it's feeding you. But again, it's a daily habit. It's an everyday act. You have to eat every single day, right? You have to poop every single day, and you have to sleep every single day. If any of you out there don't poop, eat, and sleep every single day, then let me know. You know, because we need to do those things every single day, just the way we need to take care of ourselves and our mental health.
And Kathy will tell me, like, if I don't cycle for, I take a week off, she'll tell me, get back on your bike. She knows.
I can't stand you.
So, no, and I know it too. But see, here's two examples when I was a kid, because it was not a good house to live in. It was very chaotic. It was very traumatic. It was very dark. It was very whatever. Just put whatever you want to put in there. So there's two things I did. One, I grabbed my dog, and I lived back in Dana Point, and it was in the early 70s, so there was nothing out there back then, unlike today, unfortunately. And I'd go for a walk in the hills, and I could walk probably a couple miles, and I'd sit on the side of this hill in the grass, the foxtail grass, and it'd be, I'd probably be up above my knees. And I would sit down on the side of that hill with my dog, and the wind from the ocean blowing on my hair and the sun on my face, and I would just sit there and chill. It was a safe place. It was a peaceful place. I loved it. I think about it often. So that's one thing that I would do, just to take care of myself. And the other thing I did is back then I surfed almost every single day. But if it got bad at home, I would take off and I would stay out in the water until it got dark. And after dark, I wouldn't come home until 9, 10 o'clock at night. But those things got me. And I didn't realize until I was writing my book and doing a few other things that those were the safe things for me. Those are the things that got me through some moments that I probably never would have got through.
And I do want to start on that, because I think in this day and age, when I see you had that freedom to do that, but the way I was brought up and the complications that we had, we didn't have that outlet.
Right,
My parents had to sit me at home because of the stuff that was going outside of us.
Right.
And so we had no outlet. So the outlet that ended up happening is my brother and I would fight like viciously, right? I mean, it wasn't just sibling rivalry; it was vicious fighting. And from that, it stemmed into other things. And there was no way of, because of, like, for example, my brother had a bike. I begged my parents for a bike, and they said, "No, you're a girl, you don't ride." So I'd have to go and steal the bike, right, and go riding around the block. Right, and then come back because I didn't know how to ride the bike. I'd be really hurt, and then I'd come back, but I still do it again because that was my only way of going. So my stuff ended up happening because of the fact that the lack of being able to have some outdoor or any activity, on any constructive activity. I had to lie to do the constructive activity. Then the easiest way for me to get into constructive activities were getting into circles of friends that were not productive.
Right.
That was my only alternative way of how I dealt with stuff.
So at that point in your life, maladaptive friends were your constructive.
My constructive, yeah.
Which were free at that point.
At that point in time, yes, absolutely. But over the length of time, only in hindsight I can say that. Right. And I guess the reason why I'm sharing that is, if you're a parent, you're a child, whoever you are watching this video, I think it was just to kind of get, in this day and age, here we are, people go to school and people get picked up from school to school, there's not that sense of freedom anymore, right? Where, back in the day, I'd walk to school every single day and I'd walk home to it. My dad would come pick me up.
Down to the streetlights.
Exactly. So it was a different, and that's why I'm saying it more than anything. So I think there's a lot of things that happen because people are behind closed doors more often than they should be. Things are happening that we're not aware of, and people are getting bombarded by electrics and games and whatever else that might be. And, to a certain point, yes, constructively, a little bit of game playing for a child is great. But, you know, as a maladaptive behavior is something that, you know, that can trigger other things it's not a good habit. It's not a good behavior.
So there, you know, even at that, there's sayings that right now as adults, especially, okay, and the kids, the games, but even that, as adults, if you can't go to the beach, I know a lot of us here in the Coachella Valley, a lot of people hike the Bump and Grind.
Yeah.
That's a magic mountain.
Yeah,
I did a lot of it. So there's that, and if you can't get out, you know, there's drawing, like you said.
There's other
artwork, there's music, there's meditation, there's even journaling. I mean, there's a lot that you can gardening.
Gardening is a beautiful
Gardening's
thing.
another
Connecting.
thing.
Yeah. There's a lot more than you realize. I mean, we listed off a few things, but if you have a hobby, you know, or if you know, or if you never recognized what your hobby was, you know, it's like my parents, you know, my mom goes through her hard times nowadays, and she's got to that point in her life where she goes, okay, what am I going to do for myself? And I always say, okay, what, you know, find something that you used to like that you really, and go and try it. Hey, if you don't like it, you can try something else, right? But try something. Just one thing new. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a masterpiece. It doesn't, you know, hey, that's my perfectionist side. That's what I do. I have that perfectionist side of me that it has to be a masterpiece, all or nothing.
Right.
You know, but that's a whole other behavior, right? It
So,
stops me from doing stuff.
so I think in closing, the one thing I want to say is that look around. Who are your circle of friends? I mean, really, really, really look at them. Do they have all the qualities that you want in yourself? Are they honest? Are they open-minded? Are they willing? They're not. Nobody's perfect. I understand that. Okay, but are they honest, open-minded? Are they willing? Are they spiritual? Do they care for other people? Do they think about other people, or they just think about themselves all the time? Do they have all the qualities that you want? I had to walk away from almost all my old friends in life. I had to. I had to, because they fulfilled the purpose of my life for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. Remember, people are here for a season and a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So absolutely. I'll leave you to that. Just who is your circle of friends? And do they have all the qualities that you really, really desire for yourself? Or are you sacrificing some of the qualities you want for yourself?
And your experience.
I mean, so, you know, so are you sacrificing anything? What is it that you really want in life? Because even being successful, you can still have all these other good qualities.
And what is success? I mean, even in that question, there's no such thing as success. Is just finding your own peace of mind. Right. You know, that's the big part of success that's the biggest gift that you can give yourself. Finding your own ground and your own way to be able to find your own peace of mind.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for coming online. So if you're watching us via either Randy's page or my page, please like Love Your Life Story and follow us on Love Your Life Story. Next week, we're going to be online again live, and the next week's conversation, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this. We're going to be expanding a little bit more about this. There's a lot more to say about this. You know, I know we just kind of touched base on stuff, so we're going to go over.
There's a lot of self-abuse, self-hate, all that falls.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about any of you guys. If you want to share, please do. You know, this is a safe ground for us to share on, and no judgments are passed, and nothing is stupid. You know, we value each and every one of you guys, and remember, if nobody has told you that they love you,
Randy does.
And Deepika does. Until next week, we will see you. Well, I guess until next week.
Until next week. Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.